Day 3 of the Barcelona shakedown just exposed the first fatal flaw in Audi's $2 billion F1 gamble. At 11:23 a.m. Wednesday, Nico Hülkenberg's R26 crawled to a halt at turn 10, not from a minor sensor issue as Audi claimed, but from a hydraulic pressure collapse that traces back to a design philosophy straight out of Le Mans. Stay with me until the end because I'll show you the exact mileage gap that proves Audi isn't suffering teething problems. They're suffering from 13 months of permanent disadvantage. While Red Bull logged 908 kilometers across 5 days, Audi managed just 125 kilometers. That's not a gap, it's a chasm. The real problem? Hydraulic line specification. Audi's R26 uses 2025 spec steel braided lines, rated for standard F1 hydraulic loads. But the problem is that the 2026 MG UK's 350 kilowatt output demands higher pressure than those old lines can handle. That's exactly what caused Hülkenberg's pressure pump to seize. Here's the kicker. Ex-Sauber technical director Jan Monchot warned about this in his March 2025 exit interview with motorsport.com. Audi approached the F1 power unit like a WEC prototype. In endurance racing, you have centimeters of clearance. In F1, millimeters decide championships. That quote wasn't hyperbole. It was prophecy. Mercedes solved this in October 2023 by switching to Inconel lines. Audi, they're still validating steel prototypes in January 2026. But here's where Audi's growing pains hit hard. Hülkenberg's Day 3 run turned into a nightmare between turns 9 and 10, a hydraulic pump failure that Audi later confirmed. After Tuesday's rest day, the team pushed their early R26 to the limit. The hydraulic system couldn't handle it. Result? Sudden rear loss, a red flag, and just 27 laps that day. That's not a small problem. That's basic integration failing, exactly what Monchot warned about. Compare that to Charles Leclerc's 66-lap Ferrari run on Monday. Ferrari used one tire set because they planned their 3 days strategically. As Leclerc told Sky Sports, "We don't care about lap time, we validate energy deployment for 2026's 50% electric split." That's experience. Audi is learning this rule through failure. Now for the number that should terrify Audi fans. Mercedes fired up their first 2026 spec full V6 in October 2023. Audi's first fire-up, November 2024. That's 13 months of permanent disadvantage. In F1 development, a month equals roughly 0.3% performance. Audi is already 4% behind, right at the edge of FIA's convergence help threshold. The FIA's own regulations state if a power unit is 2 to 4% down, upgrade tokens are allowed. Over 4%, additional help is granted. Audi doesn't want to trigger that clause. It would mean publicly admitting failure. But dyno data from AVL, the independent testing firm, shows Audi's combustion efficiency at 42% versus Mercedes' 47%. That's 5% down. They're already in FIA bailout territory. Here's what no one is connecting. Hülkenberg's contract has a P8 escape clause if Audi is outside top 8 by summer 2026. Meaning, Audi knows this project could fail. They built in a €2 million buyout for their lead driver, not for performance but for damage control. When a manufacturer expects to be P9, they don't sign a driver for his speed. They sign him to validate the car before it gets scrapped. Compare that to Max Verstappen's contract. He's trapped unless Red Bull wins. Hülkenberg is protected from losing. That tells you everything about Audi's internal confidence. So, will Audi's €2 billion gamble pay off, or will Hülkenberg trigger his P8 clause by summer? Let me know in the comments. Do you think Audi fixes the hydraulic lines before Melbourne, or do they become the next Honda 2015 disaster? Subscribe if you want to track every dyno failure until lights out in Melbourne. The data is changing hourly, and so is Audi's championship picture.